The day the real heiress of the Lincoln family returned, I was squatting in the garden munching on watermelon. The nanny Monica came running over in a panic, her skirt hem stained with mud. "Miss, why are you still here? Madam is looking for you." I spat out 2 black seeds. "Oh, coming." Watermelon juice dripped down my fingers, sticky and messy. I casually wiped it on the expensive imported lawn. Monica's eyelids twitched at the sight. "Miss, quickly wipe your hands. This lawn is very expensive." "It's fine, it'll clean off with a rub." I stood up, carrying the remaining half of the melon as I walked toward the main house. The atmosphere in the villa was as tense as a drawn bowstring. My adoptive parents, David Lincoln and Susan of the Lincoln family group, sat on the expensive European-style sofa, sitting stiffly, like 2 priceless antique porcelain vases. Standing beside them was their biological son, my nominal brother, Sam Lincoln. He frowned at the melon in my hand. "Florence Lincoln, put it down." His voice was very low. My mom, or rather, Ms. Susan, forced a reassuring smile at me. "Florence, why don't you go back to your room for a while, okay? Later, Mom will talk to you." Her well-maintained face couldn't hide the tension and a hint of guilt. I took another crisp bite of the melon. "So sweet, Mom." I swallowed the melon flesh, the juice leaving a cool sensation in my throat. "Has the new sister arrived yet? Should we cut a piece for her? It's really sweet." David Lincoln's face instantly turned a bit green. Sam Lincoln simply closed his eyes, his expression one of utter disbelief. Susan nearly lost her forced smile. Just then, the butler respectfully pushed open the grand door. A girl in a faded dress stood timidly at the entrance. She is very thin. Her skin is somewhat pale. Her features resemble Susan's by about 70%. Especially those eyes, clear, with a hint of bewildered innocence like a startled fawn. Behind her followed a plainly dressed middle-aged woman with an awkward expression, the real heiress, Winnie Lincoln, and her adoptive mother, Lucy. The air froze. All eyes were fixed on that frail girl. Susan suddenly stood up, her eyes instantly reddening. "Winnie," her voice choked with sobs as she stumbled forward. David Lincoln also stood up, his dignified face showing rare emotion. Sam Lincoln quickly stepped forward. The family of 3 was finally reunited, a scene of perfect harmony, heart-wrenching. I stood there, still holding half a melon in my hand, like an ill-timed prop. No one paid me any attention anymore, except for the newly arrived true heiress, Winnie Lincoln. Her gaze timidly slipped through the gaps between her new family members' shoulders and landed on me, filled with curiosity, and a hint of barely noticeable wariness. I smiled at her, raised the melon in my hand, mouthed to her, "Want some?" She clearly froze for a moment. She quickly lowered her head and buried her face in Susan's embrace, which carried the scent of expensive perfume. I shrugged. "Fine, don't eat then." I turned around, carrying my melon, and headed upstairs. "Florence," David Lincoln's voice sounded from behind, carrying a deliberately softened tone. He comfortingly patted Winnie Lincoln's back, then turned his gaze toward me. You've seen it too." "Winnie is back, MHM, I nodded. "There have been some changes at home." He chose his words carefully. "The master suite you used to live in has the best natural light and the most central location." Susan, holding Winnie Lincoln, also looked at me with a complicated expression. "Florence, Winnie has suffered a lot over the years. That room has always been intended for the real young lady of the house." Sam Lincoln remained silent, just watching me with a scrutinizing gaze. "I get it now. For 20 years, the cuckoo has occupied the magpie's nest. Now the true phoenix returns to its rightful home. As for this wild pheasant of mine, it's time to make way." "Good." I swallowed the last bite of melon flesh and casually placed the smooth rind on a gleaming antique side table nearby. "Understood," I said lightly. "I'll move." Right now, all 3 of them froze. Probably didn't expect me to be so straightforward. David Lincoln's prepared lengthy speech got stuck in his throat. The guilt on Susan's face grew even stronger. "Florence, that's not what Mom meant. Where's the servants' quarters?" I interrupted her and directly asked the butler. "Jack." Jack was also stunned and instinctively replied, "In the backyard, next to the kitchen. There's an empty one, but it's a bit small." "Fine." I started heading upstairs. "I'll go pack my things." "Florence Lincoln." Sam Lincoln finally spoke up, his tone tinged with disbelief. "You don't have to do this. There are other guest rooms in the house. No need to trouble yourself." I didn't even turn my head as I clattered up the stairs. I'm particular about beds. Small rooms help me sleep better. Truth be told, I don't own much: designer clothes, handbags, and shoes. That's the standard for Florence Lincoln, the eldest daughter of the Lincoln family. It has little to do with me, Florence Lincoln herself. I only took what belonged to me: a few worn-out old t-shirts and jeans I was used to wearing, a years-old tablet with frayed edges, an old tin box filled with miscellaneous items. Oh, and there's that half-person high, faded carrot-shaped pillow on the bed. I've gotten used to sleeping with it. Not even a single suitcase was filled. When I dragged the suitcase downstairs, the family of four still maintained their previous postures, only their expressions had grown more complicated, like watching a performance artist. Winnie Lincoln huddled in Susan's arms, sneaking glances at me. Dad, Mom, Bro, I called out each name, my tone as casual as saying, I'm going to the convenience store downstairs to buy an ice cream. I've moved out. David Lincoln opened his mouth. Susan's eyes grew even redder. Florence, little sister. I turned to Winnie Lincoln, forcing what I thought was a friendly smile. Welcome home. Winnie Lincoln's body shrank back almost imperceptibly. I didn't pay it any mind, dragging my battered suitcase under Jack's complicated gaze that seemed to hold back words. I headed toward the small servant's room in the backyard. The room was truly tiny: a single bed, an old desk, a small wardrobe with peeling paint. It's gone. The window faces the backyard, offering a view of the kitchen exhaust vent. The faint smell of cooking oil still lingers in the air. Good, the warmth of human life. I tossed the carrot-shaped pillow onto the bed, opened the window to let in fresh air, then made the bed. Quick and efficient, spread the bedsheet, put on the duvet cover. I flopped onto the slightly firm single bed, hugging my carrot, closing her eyes. Less than 3 minutes, even breathing sounds emerged, accompanied by tiny little snores. Outside the window, Monica, who had been sneakily peeking over the windowsill to see if I was crying, was utterly dumbfounded. I slept deeply, until dinner time when Jack woke me up. In the dining room, the atmosphere was still a bit awkward. The long European-style dining table. David Lincoln sits at the head of the table. Susan and Winnie Lincoln sit on one side. Sam Lincoln sits on the other side. The empty seat is next to Susan. It used to be mine. Now, a set of tableware is placed there, clearly prepared for me. I pulled out the chair next to Sam Lincoln and sat down. Florence, you... Susan looked at me. Oh, I'll just sit here. I picked up my chopsticks and glanced at the exquisite dishes spread across the table. Leave that side for my sister. It's closer to Mom, so they can talk more easily. Winnie Lincoln's hand, holding the chopsticks, froze. David Lincoln cleared his throat. Let's eat. No talking during meals. But the silence was somewhat oppressive. Only I remained, single-mindedly picking up dishes and eating. The culinary skills of the Lincoln family's chef are truly unparalleled. The braised spare ribs are perfectly seasoned. The steamed fish is tender and fresh. Even the stir-fried greens are delightfully crisp. I'm eating with great relish. After finishing a bowl of rice, I naturally reached out my hand. Monica, could you please give me another half bowl? Monica hurried over to serve me more rice. Winnie Lincoln was eating in small bites, hardly picking up any dishes. Susan lovingly placed a piece of sweet and sour spare rib on her plate. Winnie, try this. It was your favorite when you were little. Winnie Lincoln stared at the glistening rib in her bowl, hesitating for a moment. Sam Lincoln also served her a portion of stir-fried shrimp with vegetables. This one's not bad either, light and mild. Winnie's Lincoln bowl piled up like a small mountain. She seemed even more uncomfortable. I poked at the rice in my bowl, thinking to myself, the pressure is really intense. After finishing the meal, David Lincoln spoke up. Winnie just got back and needs time to adjust. Sam, take good care of your sister. Sam Lincoln nodded. Dad, I understand. Florence, David Lincoln turned to me. Dad, I put down my chopsticks and wiped my mouth. I'm done eating. I'll head back to my room first. You... David Lincoln was at a loss for words again. Tomorrow is Monday, and I have to work. I added, need to sleep early. Work? Susan was surprised. Florence, you don't have to, Mom. I signed a contract with a 3-month probation period. I can't just skip work. I stood up and nodded at Winnie Lincoln. Good night, little sister. Once again leaving the family with varied expressions in the dining room, I returned to my small room, lock the door, take a shower, put on a comfortable old t-shirt, hug my carrot-shaped pillow, turn on the tablet, open the Match 3 game. The background music is cheerful. Fingers swipe, eliminate, eliminate, gone, worries, Non-existent. A worker's troubles can wait till tomorrow. Now, sleep. This job of mine was arranged for me by Sam Lincoln, after I graduated from college, with a BOT diploma, working as an administrative assistant at a small design company owned by his friend, monthly salary of $4,500, 9 to 6 work hours, weekends off. Job duties include photocopying documents, booking meeting rooms, ordering afternoon tea, and pasting receipts. No technical skills required, but it's easy and relaxed. My colleagues call me Florence Lincoln, but no one knows I'm the fake heiress from the Lincoln family. Good. I rode my second-hand electric scooter and arrived at the office building right on time, locked the car, bought a sandwich from the convenience store next door for breakfast, just entered the company's main entrance. The receptionist Alice winked at me. Florence Lincoln, quick, check the group chat. I took out my phone. The company gossip group, Boss Free Edition, has exploded. 99 plus unread messages. Holy shit, earth-shattering tea, breaking financial news alert. The Lincoln family, yes, that Lincoln family from the Lincoln family group, real versus fake heiress, fiction becoming reality. Link, chairman of Lincoln family group appears with long-lost biological daughter. Heartwarming scene draws attention. Caption, Lincoln family portrait with Winnie Lincoln smiling gracefully at center stage. In the corner, my blurry figure holding half a melon fades into the background like a mere prop. Wait, that figure looks familiar. Holy shit, doesn't that look like Florence Lincoln? At Florence Lincoln, come out, confess, and you'll be treated leniently. Are you the fake heiress who got kicked out? I chewed on my sandwich and typed slowly. Florence Lincoln, yeah, it's me. The group chat instantly fell silent. 3 seconds later, Florence Lincoln, are you serious? Holy shit. The actual female lead of a rich family drama is right beside me. Then why are you still coming to work and riding an electric scooter? Florence Lincoln, if I don't work, who's going to pay me? Florence Lincoln, what's wrong with the electric scooter? It saves gas and doesn't get stuck in traffic. Florence Lincoln, by the way, where are we ordering afternoon tea from today? Still that cake shop downstairs. The group fell silent again. Then I forcibly steered the conversation toward afternoon tea and reimbursement procedures. Just on this day, wherever I went, I was met with countless probing, curious, sympathetic, and gleeful gazes, and hushed whispers. That's her. She looks pretty ordinary. How pitiful. Fallen from heaven. What's there to pity? She enjoyed 20 years of luxury for free. The real heiress is the one who deserves pity. I turned a deaf ear. Make copies when needed. Book the meeting room when required. Attach receipts as necessary. In the afternoon, Wendy from the finance department came over with the reimbursement form. Florence, the time on this taxi receipt doesn't match. Oh, the driver probably made a mistake. I took it back. I'll reattach it. And this one. Wendy leaned in closer, lowering her voice, her eyes sparkling with gossip. Florence, is what they're saying in the group true? I looked up at her. Wendy, there's an issue with the reimbursement form. I'll fix it. My personal matters, I pointed to the other stack of papers in her hand, seem unrelated to this month's department dinner budget, don't they? Wendy left awkwardly. Off work, I rode my electric scooter home, just entered the Lincoln family mansion, could immediately sense something was off. In the living room, Winnie Lincoln's eyes were red, as if she had been crying. Susan held her close, whispering words of comfort. David Lincoln didn't look too pleased. Sam Lincoln sat to the side, frowning deeply. They noticed me entering. Winnie Lincoln visibly trembled and shrank further into Susan's arms. Susan's gaze toward me carried a hint of barely perceptible reproach. Florence is back. I changed my shoes. Did everything go well at the company today? David Lincoln asked. It was fine. I put down my bag. Dad, Mom, I'm going to my room first. Wait, Sam Lincoln stopped me, his voice slightly cold. Florence, what did you say to Winnie? I was baffled. Say what? I just got back from work and haven't seen my sister yet. Then why did Winnie see all those messy news alerts? Sam Lincoln's tone carried reproach. She just came home and is already sensitive, after seeing those reports saying things like, fake heiress usurping the nest, and, the real phoenix returns. The wild chicken should step aside, she cried all afternoon. I see. I looked at Winnie Lincoln. Her head was bowed, shoulders trembling. Oh, I nodded. Then next time, tell her not to look at that trash news. Florence Lincoln. Sam Lincoln raised his voice. What kind of attitude is this? Winnie is upset because of you, And you don't even have a shred of remorse. Remorse. I almost wanted to laugh. Bro. I looked at him. Did I write the news? Sam Lincoln choked. Did I call the reporters? Did I ask someone to take those photos? I'm sorry to see my sister upset, I said calmly, but doesn't the root of this problem lie elsewhere? Sam Lincoln was left speechless by my confrontation. David Lincoln's face darkened. Enough, Sam. Florence isn't wrong either. It's those media outlets making wild speculations. He turned to Winnie Lincoln, softening his tone. Winnie, stop crying. Those are all nonsense. From now on, we'll be a happy family. And no one will dare spread rumors. Susan also comforted her gently. Winnie Lincoln looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. Her gaze was timid, yet carried an indescribable emotion. Big sister, she whispered with a sob in her voice. I'm sorry, I'm not blaming you. Seeing those words made me feel so awful. It's okay, I waved my hand. If it hurts, don't look at them. Find something happy to read instead. With that, I turned and walked toward the backyard. Behind me, Susan's voice grew even gentler as she continued to soothe. Look at our Winnie. So well behaved. I returned to my little room, closed the door, locked the door. The world is peaceful now. I turn on my tablet, open a mindless comedy show, turn up the volume. Laughter filled the room, worries, non-existent. Winnie Lincoln began her integration course, etiquette, flower arrangement, horseback riding, jewelry appreciation. Susan personally instructed her, hiring the finest teachers. She was like a sponge, eagerly absorbing everything that belonged to a Lincoln family heiress. Yet, during every family dinner, she still appeared somewhat reserved, speaking in a soft and gentle voice, only picking up the dishes right in front of her with chopsticks. Susan felt heartbroken and kept finding ways to serve her more food. Sam Lincoln also occasionally showed his concern with a few words. David Lincoln tried his best to play the role of a loving father. As for me, buried in his meal, turning a deaf ear to the table talk, focused solely on the food before him. That evening, Susan specifically had someone prepare bird's nest soup to nourish Winnie Lincoln's health. Winnie, try this. It's good for a girl's skin. Winnie Lincoln took small sips. Susan looked at me. Florence, would you like a bowl too? I was gnawing on a piece of braised bone, my hands greasy. No thanks, Mom, this is enough to fill me up. Sam Lincoln glanced at my greasy hands, his brow furrowing almost imperceptibly. Winnie Lincoln set down the delicate white porcelain spoon. Big sister, she said softly, is bird's nest very expensive? Me, it's all right, priced by the gram. This little bit probably costs a few hundred. Winnie Lincoln's face instantly turned pale, her fingers twisted tightly at the hem of her clothes. I've never eaten anything this expensive before. Her voice choked with sobs. When Lucy was sick, we couldn't even afford medicine that cost a few $dozen. Susan's eyes immediately reddened. Winnie, my child, you've suffered so much. She hugged Winnie Lincoln, her heart aching unbearably. David Lincoln also put down his chopsticks and sighed. Sam Lincoln looked at me with that disapproving gaze again, as if blaming me for bringing up money and upsetting his sister. I silently finished gnawing on the bone, wiped my hands clean. Mom, little sister, I said, I'm full. I'll head back to my room first. Florence, Susan called out to me, her face still streaked with tears. Tomorrow there's a small gathering at home. Just some close family friends. I have plans with someone tomorrow. I interrupted her. My college roommate. We made plans a while ago to go shopping. Susan paused, looking somewhat disappointed yet seemingly relieved. Well, all right then. Winnie Lincoln lifted her head from Susan's arms and whispered, have fun, sis. I nodded, back to my little room, closed the door. Faint sobbing and comforting voices can still be heard from the living room. I turn on the tablet, open, Candy Crush. Match, worries matched away. The next day, I woke up naturally. Sunlight streamed in through the small window, warm and cozy. I actually had plans with someone, my college roommate and best friend, Linda, a carefree optimist with a heart as vast as the ocean. We met at the downtown budget mall. Over here, Linda, wearing a flashy t-shirt, waved at me. I walked over. She threw her arm around my neck. Damn, girl, after such a huge scandal, you're still as steady as an old dog. Your mental game is on point. I swatted her paw away. What else? Should I be wailing and gnashing my teeth? Hell no, Linda grinned. Come on, sis is treating you to spicy hot pot, extra numbing, extra spicy. To celebrate your escape from the rich family's misery, we squeezed into the bustling food court on the basement level of the mall, ordered 2 large bowls of spicy hot pot. The red oil was boiling hot. The aroma was irresistible. So satisfying. Linda was eating with sweat beading on her forehead. Let me tell you, that biological sister of yours looks exhausting. TSK, no one's as carefree as you. I kept my head down, eating my fish tofu. By the way, are you really living in the servants' quarters now? Linda leaned in, lowering her voice. That's really not right of them, after raising you for 20 years. It's fine. I took a sip of soup. Peaceful. All right. You're amazing. Linda gave a thumbs up. Your mindset is rock solid, but, she grinned mischievously, your brother, Sam Lincoln, really no thoughts. You two grew up together, and back in the day, everyone in the circle said you were his fiancé. I almost choked. Who spread that rumor? Me and him, pure sibling bond, purer than 24K gold. TCH, boring. Linda sighed in disappointment. I thought I'd get to hear some juicy rich family drama. After finishing the meal, let's start rating the discount section. This t-shirt is only $59, buy one get one free, we can each have one. These jeans have a great fit, $199 for 2 pairs, let's go. Wow, buy 2 pairs of canvas shoes and get one free, hurry, one afternoon. We carried bags of shopping spoils, less than $300 per person, perfectly satisfied. Evening, I rode my little electric scooter home. Just as I entered the gate, I could feel the atmosphere was off again, even more tense than yesterday. In the living room, Susan's face turned pale, David Lincoln's brows furrowed into a deep frown. Sam Lincoln sat on the sofa, his fingers tapping impatiently on the armrest. Winnie Lincoln sat in the armchair, head bowed, shoulders trembling slightly, on the floor. A delicate white porcelain cup lay shattered, thick, glistening bird's nest soup spilled across the expensive carpet, a complete mess. What happened? I put down the shopping bag. Susan seemed to just notice me, her eyes red and puffy. Florence, you're back. Sam Lincoln suddenly looked up at me sharply. Florence Lincoln, did you say something to Winnie? Here we go again. I was getting annoyed. I wasn't home all day. Say what? Through dreams. Why did Winnie smash the bird's nest? Sam Lincoln pointed at the mess on the floor, his voice filled with anger. Lucy kindly reheated a bowl and brought it up to her, and she suddenly threw a tantrum and smashed it. She even said that we don't treat her as a human being, using these expensive things to humiliate her. Winnie Lincoln abruptly raised her head, tears streaming down her face. I didn't, brother. When I saw Lucy bringing it up, I suddenly remembered how my foster mother in the past wouldn't even drink a bowl of sugar water. She saved it all for me. I felt so heartbroken, my hand slipped. She sobbed uncontrollably. I really didn't mean to. I'm sorry, Mom, I'm sorry. Susan's heart shattered all over again. Winnie, don't cry. Mom knows you didn't mean to. It's Mom's fault. I shouldn't always make you eat these. David Lincoln let out a heavy sigh. Enough, no more talking. Clean this up. He wearily rubbed his temples. Winnie just came back and has some emotional baggage. It was our oversight. From now on, let's keep things simpler at home. Sam Lincoln looked at Winnie Lincoln, who was crying her eyes out, then at the mess on the floor, and ultimately said nothing more, but the look he gave me still carried a hint of suspicion. I couldn't be bothered to explain. Bend down, take out the discounted yogurt I bought for Monica from the convenience store downstairs from my shopping bag. Monica, here you go. Monica is holding a rag, looking at the bird's nest on the floor at a loss. Hearing this, she was momentarily stunned before quickly taking it. Ah, thank you, miss. You're welcome. I picked up the remaining bags. Mom, Dad, brother, sister, I'm going back to my room. As I passed by Winnie Lincoln, she raised her tear-filled eyes to look at me. Deep in her eyes, there seemed to be a hint of triumph. I walked over with a blank expression. My tiny room. The soundproofing wasn't great. Faintly, I could hear Susan's gentle coaxing coming from the main house ahead, and Winnie Lincoln's intermittent sobs. I put on my headphones, opened the tablet, Plants vs. Zombies, Plant Sunflowers, Plant Pea Shooters, rat-a-tat-tat, shooting zombies, troubled, it's all fleeting clouds, life just goes on like this, neither exciting nor dull. Winnie Lincoln's young lady lessons progressed at an astonishing pace. She was naturally intelligent and willing to put in the hard work, soon enough. Her demeanor became graceful and her speech refined. Her flower arrangement started to take on a professional touch, even able to chat with Sam Lincoln about simple financial terms. Susan was overjoyed. She praised it to everyone she met. Our Winnie is truly a born lady of noble character. David Lincoln also basks in reflected glory. Sam Lincoln has grown increasingly approving of this beloved younger sister. Yet every time he looks at me, his frown deepens even more. Probably thinks I'm a hopeless case. This day, David Lincoln is hosting a dinner at home, entertaining several important business partners, considered an official introduction of Winnie Lincoln to the circle. Susan was bustling about early in the morning. The servants were so busy they barely touched the ground. My small room was in the backyard, relatively quiet, but even there, I could feel the tense bustle. Afternoon. Susan came to the backyard specifically to find me. She was wearing a custom-fitted cheongsam with exquisite makeup. Florence, tonight, Mom. I cut her off. I have a department dinner tonight. Susan visibly relaxed but still said, "Oh, all right then, just, be careful." Evening, I rode out on my electric scooter. The department dinner was a lie. Seeking peace is real. I found a quiet cafe, ordered the cheapest lemon water, holding my tablet, reading ebooks. Until past 9 in the evening, figuring the banquet over there should be over by now. I leisurely rode back. The villa was brightly lit. The servants were still cleaning up the mess, yet the atmosphere felt somewhat strange. Monica saw me and quickly trotted over. "Miss, you're finally back. What's wrong?" "Up ahead, there's trouble," Monica whispered, her face full of fear. "The master is furious." I raised an eyebrow, heading toward the main house's living room, not yet through the door. I heard David Lincoln's suppressed roar of anger. "Disgraceful. You've completely humiliated the Lincoln family." "Dad, calm down. Winnie didn't mean to." This was Sam Lincoln's voice. "Didn't mean to." With so many guests present, she actually spilled red wine on Mr. Charles. "Do you know who Mr. Charles is?" "He's our biggest raw material supplier." "Dad, it's Winnie's first time attending such an occasion. It's natural for her to be nervous," Susan said with a sob in her voice. "Nervous? I think she's getting carried away." David Lincoln was clearly furious. "She acts like she's better than everyone when talking to people. When Mrs. Lisa simply asked where she used to go to school, she reacted as if she'd been stepped on, sarcastically saying things like, 'I can't compare to my sister's good fortune, growing up in a honeypot since childhood.' Just listen to that. Is that any way to behave? Winnie is just feeling overwhelmed." Susan continued to defend her. "Overwhelmed? I think she's just resentful. She can't stand Florence." "Dad, don't talk about Winnie like that," Sam Lincoln protested urgently. I pushed the door open and entered. In the living room, David Lincoln's face was livid as he paced back and forth. Susan sat on the sofa wiping her tears. Sam Lincoln stood nearby with an unpleasant expression. Winnie Lincoln slumped onto the carpet, her hair slightly disheveled, her dress stained with wine, her makeup smeared from crying, looking pitiful. They noticed me entering. All eyes turned to focus on the scene. Winnie Lincoln's sobs paused for a moment, and the look she gave me was instantly filled with grievance and resentment. "Sister," she sniffled, "are you satisfied now?" I was baffled. "What does this have to do with me, Dad?" I directly ignored her and looked at David Lincoln. "Anger harms the body." David Lincoln was panting heavily and glared at me. That look was complicated, filled with anger, disappointment, and perhaps even a hint of frustration at my lack of ambition. "You sure know how to avoid trouble." "Yeah," I nodded, hiding pretty well. David Lincoln was so choked up he nearly passed out. Sam Lincoln looked at me with eyes that could spit fire. "Florence Lincoln, can't you say something nice? Winnie's in this state." "Oh." I looked at Winnie Lincoln on the floor. Then, "Little sister, don't cry." Winnie Lincoln burst into even louder sobs with a wah. "Enough." David Lincoln waved his hand impatiently. "Everyone, go back to your rooms. I can't stand the sight of this." I couldn't have asked for more. Turned and left. A weary voice came from behind. David Lincoln's. "Tomorrow, Sam, you take Winnie to the company. Start learning from the ground up. Get your mind in order. Stop thinking about nonsense all day." "Florence," I didn't stop walking. You go too. Help your sister out a bit." I stopped in my tracks, turned around. "Dad, I have work. That's not even a real job." David Lincoln's temper flared up again. "Quit. Go to the company with your brother tomorrow. The contract hasn't expired yet. There'd be a penalty for breach." I said calmly. "Pay it. The Lincoln family can afford it." I looked at him. Dad, my job is just fine. Florence Lincoln, David Lincoln was utterly enraged. This family is under my rule, you'll go when I say so. Another word and, David, Susan quickly grabbed his arm. Don't scare the child. David Lincoln's chest heaved violently before he finally flung his hand away in frustration. Fine, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. I nodded. I'm going back to my room. Returning to my small room, lock the door. The world falls silent. I lie down on the bed, holding my carrot, staring at the ceiling with open eyes. The Lincoln family, company. That place countless people are desperate to get into. Trouble, big trouble. A slacker fears trouble the most. The next day, I still ride my electric scooter to work, photocopying documents, book a meeting room, help a colleague pick up their takeout downstairs while you're at it. Afternoon. Sam Lincoln's call came through. The tone was icy, commanding. Florence Lincoln, are you ignoring Dad's words? Report to the HR department at headquarters immediately. Brother, I'm at work. I'll say it one more time. Come here immediately. Oh. I hung up the phone, continued sticking my receipts. Half an hour later, a domineering black Bentley screeched to a halt right outside our shabby little office. Sam Lincoln got out of the car with a dark expression. He strode into the company with long, swift steps. The receptionist Alice didn't even dare to stop him. He walked straight to my workstation. Slap. A document was slapped onto my desk. Lincoln Family Group Employment Offer Letter. Position, Executive Assistant to the President. Intern, now, come with me. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried an undeniable pressure. The entire office was dead silent. All colleagues held their breath, watching secretly. I glanced at the exquisitely crafted notice, then looked at Sam Lincoln's gloomy face again. Bro, I sighed. The penalty fee, the company will cover it. He practically spat out the words through gritted teeth. Oh, I slowly began packing my 3-year-old water bottle. A few pens, and the little carrot toy hanging at the corner of my desk. Hurry up, all right. I held my small cardboard box, under the complex gazes of my colleagues, following Sam Lincoln, heading towards the Bentley, a symbol of wealth and status. Getting into the passenger seat, the leather seats exuded a cool, crisp fragrance. Sam Lincoln started the car. The engine emitted a low growl. Florence Lincoln, he said coldly, staring straight ahead, drop that idle attitude of yours. This is the Lincoln family, not your little rundown company. Oh, Winnie is also interning in the executive office. She's new to all this and doesn't understand anything. Show her the ropes. Don't let her get bullied. And one more thing. He glanced at me sharply, his gaze piercing. Stay away from John, who, I looked utterly bewildered. Sam Lincoln frowned even more deeply at my behavior, snorted coldly, and stopped speaking. The car drove into the impressive underground parking lot of the Lincoln Family Group. The elevator went straight to the top floor, CEO's office, spacious, bright, and perfectly air-conditioned. Beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows lay a bustling cityscape. Men and women in professional attire, with immaculate makeup, walked briskly, the air thick with efficiency and the scent of money, a world apart from my shabby little company. Sam Lincoln left me with a middle-aged woman who looked sharp and capable. Secretary Kevin, this is Florence Lincoln, arrange her internship. Secretary Kevin adjusted her gold-rimmed glasses and gave me a once-over, plain t-shirt, faded jeans, and canvas shoes, and the small cardboard box I'm holding in my arms, containing a carrot keychain. A hint of barely perceptible disdain flashed through her eyes. Understood. President Sam, her tone was strictly professional. Sam Lincoln turned and entered the CEO's office. Kevin's secretary led me to an empty seat in the corner. This is your spot. Your OA account password is on the desk. Company policies and employee handbook. Read them yourself. Get familiar with the environment today. With that, she walked away in her high heels. I set down the cardboard box, looking around. Not far away, Winnie Lincoln was seated in a clearly better spot by the window. She wore a tasteful Chanel-style suit with light makeup. Facing the computer with a focused and serious expression, 2 young female assistants stood nearby, eager to assist. Winnie, I've finished organizing this report for you. Winnie, would you like a refill of coffee? Let me get it for you. Winnie, does the PPT Mr. Sam asked you to prepare need any polishing from me? Winnie Lincoln raised her head, revealing a gentle and appropriate smile. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Kevin. I can manage it myself. His voice was gentle. Her attitude was humble. She was like a completely different person from the hysterical girl last night. She seemed to sense my gaze, turned her head slightly. Seeing me, the smile on her face faded for a moment. A fleeting shadow passed through her eyes, too quick to catch. Then, she gave me a slight nod. As a form of greeting, I nodded as well. Sit down, turn on the computer, log into OA, dense to-do lists, processes, and notifications. It's dizzying to look at. I open the employee handbook, start reading. Working hours, 9 to 6. Lunch break, 1.5 hours. Good, about the same as before. Noon, I take my old lunchbox and head to the staff cafeteria. Just stood up, Winnie Lincoln walked over. Behind her were the two attentive female assistants. Sister, she said with a gentle smile. Her voice soft, let's go eat together. The staff cafeteria is on the 3rd floor. Oh, okay. We took the elevator down together. The staff cafeteria is very spacious. The decor is modern. The dishes are plentiful. Winnie Lincoln's appearance caused quite a stir. Look, that's the real heiress, Winnie Lincoln, and the one next to her is the fake one. TSK. The aura is so different. I heard the real heiress is very capable. Personally mentored by Mr. Sam. Why is the fake one also in the executive office? Must have been pulled in through connections. The murmurs were neither too loud nor too soft, just loud enough to reach the ears. Winnie Lincoln seemed not to hear. Completely unruffled, she picked up a plate and selected a few exquisite dishes. I headed straight for the cheapest meal combo window, 1 meat dish and 1 vegetable dish, plus free soup. Just sat down. Winnie Lincoln and her 2 followers also came to sit nearby. Sis, is this all you're eating? Winnie Lincoln looked at my food tray. It's enough. This might not be very nutritionally balanced, she said with concern in her voice. How about I share some of mine with you? She picked up a piece of golden fried cod from her plate and placed it onto mine. The gesture was natural, with a hint of condescension. The 2 assistants beside her immediately chimed in with flattery. Winnie, you're just too kind. Exactly. Some people really need to recognize their place. I lower my head, staring at the piece of cod that had fallen onto the rice, glistening with oil. The complimentary plate of sour and spicy shredded potatoes beside it looked particularly shabby. I picked up my chopsticks and pushed that piece of codfish to the side. Pick up a strand of shredded potatoes, put it into my mouth. Thanks, but no need. I chewed on the shredded potatoes. This is fine for me. Winnie Lincoln's smile froze for a moment. Sister, are you still angry with me? None, I know. It's because of my return that you've been wronged. Her eyes began to redden. Many eyes in the restaurant turned their way. Winnie, don't say that. You're the true lady of the Lincoln family. That's right. Some people have been occupying someone else's nest for 20 years. What right do they have to feel wronged? The 2 assistants immediately chimed in. Their voices were neither too loud nor too soft. Everyone around heard it clearly. Her gaze was full of contempt as she looked at me. I set down my chopsticks. I looked at Winnie Lincoln. Little sister, I said calmly, no talking during meals, no speaking before sleep. Mom taught us these rules. Have you forgotten? Winnie Lincoln's tears instantly froze in her eyes. Her face turned alternately red and pale. I didn't. Let's eat. I picked up the soup bowl and took a sip. The soup is getting cold. Winnie Lincoln bit her lip. In the end, she didn't say anything more. She lowered her head and ate quietly. But that meal, the atmosphere was particularly oppressive. Returned to the office after lunch, Winnie Lincoln was called away by Secretary Kevin. It seemed Sam Lincoln had something to discuss with her. I continue reading my employee handbook. Afternoon, Secretary Kevin slams a thick stack of files onto my desk with a loud thud. Florence Lincoln, sort and archive these past project files by date and category. Update the digital catalog on the shared drive accordingly. Get it to me before you leave. I looked at the pile of documents stacked higher than my head. Secretary Kevin, before getting off work. What? Having trouble? Secretary Kevin's gaze behind his gold-rimmed glasses was scrutinizing. Mr. Sam has made it clear that all newcomers must start from the basics. Miss Winnie Lincoln has already sorted out a portion this morning. I glanced over at Winnie Lincoln's workstation. She was facing the computer, her fingers rapidly tapping on the keyboard. Her profile had elegant lines. Her expression was focused. Beside her lay a stack of neatly organized file boxes, neat and tidy. Okay, I nodded. Time to get to work. Opening the file folder. Classification, number, entry, mechanical, boring. Time passed little by little. People in the office left one after another. Winnie Lincoln also left. Before leaving, she glanced at me. Her gaze was calm, perhaps even with a hint of encouragement. Go for it, sis, the spacious CEO's office. Only I remained. And that seemingly endless pile of documents waiting to be sorted, the fluorescent light overhead hummed with electric current. I rubbed my sore eyes. Continue, until the city lights lit up outside the window. The neon lights of the city flickered. I hit the final enter key. Done, save, power off, grab my old canvas bag. Stepping out of the empty office, in the hallway, I ran into Sam Lincoln, who had just come out of the CEO's office. He paused for a moment when he saw me, just leaving. Finished with the files. He glanced at me, as if wanting to say something. In the end, he just nodded. Go back early. I walked toward the elevator. Behind me, I could hear him talking on the phone. Yes, Winnie performed very well today, right? She picked it up quickly, much better than some people. The elevator door closed, cutting off all sound. I returned to the Lincoln family. The villa was very quiet. Winnie Lincoln seems to have fallen asleep. Susan and David Lincoln are probably in their room. I tiptoed back to my small room, locked the door, taking a shower, falling onto the bed, tired, physically exhausted. I'm exhausted. The slacker is forced to turn over. This really sucks. Still, my crappy little company is better. I hugged the carrot-shaped pillow, fell into a deep sleep. The next few days, my days in the Lincoln family, just doing odd jobs, endless odd jobs, organizing files, photocopying, errands, order coffee. Pick up takeout for the entire executive office. Secretary Kevin seems quite happy to assign me tasks. Florence Lincoln, go pick up a package at the front desk downstairs. Florence Lincoln, adjust the projector in the conference room. Florence Lincoln, take this document to the legal department. It's urgent. I'm like a spinning top, spinning around from being whipped. Winnie Lincoln was completely different. She attended meetings with Sam Lincoln, taking meeting minutes. Participate in project discussions, occasionally come up with one or two good ideas. Sam Lincoln's gaze toward her grew increasingly appreciative. Secretary Kevin and the other assistants also became more respectful toward her. Winnie is so smart. She gets it right away. Yes, as expected of Sam's little sister. Good genes indeed. I weaved through them, like a transparent backdrop. That afternoon, Sam Lincoln suddenly called an emergency meeting for all members of the executive office. The atmosphere was tense. The development proposal for the Eastern District land was snatched by the James family group. Sam Lincoln said with a grim expression, they obtained our core bid and design plans in advance. The meeting room erupted in an uproar. How is this possible? Only our core team members had access to the proposal. The final quote was just confirmed yesterday. Is there a mole among us who leaked it? Everyone exchanged glances. His gaze swept across the room, filled with suspicion. Sam Lincoln's sharp eyes scrutinized every person present. Finally, it landed on Winnie Lincoln. Winnie Lincoln's face turned pale. Her fingers clenched tightly. Bro, yesterday afternoon. Sam Lincoln's voice was icy. Apart from me and Secretary Kevin, you were the only one who had access to the complete electronic version of the plan. Swish, all eyes were fixed on Winnie Lincoln. Shocked, doubt. Winnie Lincoln suddenly stood up, her body swaying unsteadily. Brother, it wasn't me, really not me. Tears instantly welled up in her eyes. I did look at the proposal yesterday afternoon, but I swear, I absolutely didn't leak it. How could I possibly do anything to harm the Lincoln family? She cried pitifully, her face streaked with tears. Utterly pitiable, Mr. Sam, Secretary Kevin spoke up. Miss Winnie has always worked very hard, and her loyalty to the company is beyond doubt. Moreover, she abruptly changed the subject. Yesterday afternoon, when Miss Winnie went to the break room, her computer seemed to be unlocked. All eyes instantly turned to me, because yesterday afternoon, when Winnie Lincoln went to the pantry, I happened to be by the printer next to her workstation, sorting out documents to be shredded. Florence Lincoln. Sam Lincoln's gaze shot over like a knife. What were you doing near Winnie Lincoln's workstation around 3 p.m. yesterday? I put down the pen in my hand. Print the documents. The shredder is on her side. Did you see the proposal on Winnie Lincoln's computer? Sam Lincoln pressed. The screen was on. I just glanced at it. I told the truth. Then what happened? Then, I recalled for a moment. Then Secretary Kevin asked me to go downstairs to buy coffee for her. Buy coffee. Sam Lincoln looked at Secretary Kevin. Secretary Kevin adjusted her glasses. Yes, I had a bit of a headache yesterday afternoon, so I asked Florence Lincoln to go downstairs and buy me a hot Americano. She was gone for about 15 minutes. Time, motive, everything seems to point at me. The meeting room was terrifyingly quiet. The silence was so profound you could hear a pin drop. Winnie Lincoln's sobs were particularly distinct. Sister, she looked at me with tear-filled eyes. Her voice trembling, brimming with unbelievable sorrow. Why would you do this to me? Do you hate me that much? Hate me for coming back and taking away Mom, Dad, and brother? Her accusation, every word drips with blood. It instantly ignited everyone's emotions. Oh my God, so it was her. I knew it. How could a fake heiress ever be at peace with herself? How despicable, to actually betray the company. Ungrateful wretch. Disdain, angry, the accusatory gaze shot toward me like an arrow. Sam Lincoln's face had darkened to the point of dripping water. He looked at me, his eyes held nothing but utter disappointment and coldness. Florence Lincoln, his voice suppressed a storm. Do you have anything left to say? I sat there, facing everyone's gaze, very calm. Computer logs. I spoke, my voice not loud but clearly cutting through the murmurs. What? Sam Lincoln frowned. Check the operation logs on Winnie Lincoln's computer. I looked at Secretary Kevin. Secretary Kevin. The OA system has back-end records. Every document opened, modified, copied, or transferred, including USB insertion logs, is there. The access password is only available to you and Mr. Sam. Secretary Kevin's expression changed instantly. Winnie Lincoln's cry abruptly ceased. In the conference room, deathly silence. All eyes turned. They all turned their gaze towards Secretary Kevin and Winnie Lincoln in unison. Sam Lincoln's gaze was as sharp as a hawk's. Secretary Kevin. Beads of sweat began to form on Secretary Kevin's forehead. Mr. Sam, the log records might not be complete. Check. Sam Lincoln uttered just one word. Cold, unquestionable. Secretary Kevin's fingers tapped on the keyboard. They trembled slightly. On the projection screen, a complex back-end operation log interface pops up. She enters the command, filter by time, yesterday afternoon. Operation records of Winnie Lincoln's computer, listed one by one. User, Winnie Lincoln, open document. East City Land Development Plan V7-inch. User, Winnie Lincoln, inserted USB device. Kingston DT 32 GB, serial number XXXXX. User, Winnie Lincoln, copied file. East District Development Plan V7, PDF to USB device. User, Winnie Lincoln, safely removed USB device. User, Winnie Lincoln, closed document. Time, precise to the second. Action, clear and straightforward. Winnie Lincoln's face, drained of color, pale as paper. Her mouth hung open, like a fish out of water, couldn't utter a single word. Secretary Kevin's expression, ashen. Mr. Sam, she tried to explain. Get out. Sam Lincoln's voice was as cold as ice. Secretary Kevin trembled. He lowered his head. Staggering footsteps left the conference room. The door closed. In the conference room, only the Lincoln siblings remained. And me. The air froze. The atmosphere was suffocatingly heavy. Sam Lincoln stared fixedly at the records on the screen. Then he turned to look at Winnie Lincoln, whose face had gone pale. His chest heaved violently. Shock was evident in his eyes. There is disappointment. There is the anger of being deceived. More than that, there is the confusion of a collapsed faith. He trusted so much, so proud, the younger sister she had worked so hard to compensate. Yet, why? Sam Lincoln's voice was hoarse, carrying a barely noticeable tremor. Winnie Lincoln suddenly raised her head. Her face was covered in tears. But the look in her eyes was no longer pitiful. Instead, it was filled with venomous resentment. Why? Her voice was sharp, laced with tears, yet every word was clear. You're asking me why? She pointed at me. Because of her. Because of all of you, because of this family. You say you love me, that you want to make it up to me, but in your hearts, she screamed hysterically, the way you look at me is always full of scrutiny, full of comparison. You compare me to her, to see who is more like a Lincoln family lady. I studied desperately. I tried so hard to please you. My hands bled from arranging flowers, my back ached from learning those damn manners. I stayed up all night staring at reports I couldn't even understand. But what about you, Dad? Every time you praise me, you always add, if only Florence could be half as hardworking as you. Do you really care about me? You're just regretting why she isn't your biological child. Mom, you hug me and say you feel sorry for me. But your bedroom is still filled with photos of Florence Lincoln from childhood to now. The dresses you bought for her cost 10 times more than the brand name clothes I'm wearing. You just pity me. You never truly treated me as your daughter. And you, brother, she glared fiercely at Sam Lincoln. Her eyes like poison daggers. You were kind to me, you taught me everything personally. But in your study, that locked drawer, what's inside? It's that hideous shell bracelet you made by hand for Florence Lincoln's 18th birthday. You never threw it away. You couldn't bear to. Sam Lincoln's body trembled violently. Her face instantly turned deathly pale. Winnie Lincoln's tears gushed out uncontrollably. Yet her voice carried a tone of frenzied hatred. This family. There's never been a place for me here. I'm just a tool you use to ease your guilt. I hate her. I hate all of you. John found me. He said he could help me make the Lincoln family take a big fall, help me get Florence Lincoln out of the way for good. Why wouldn't I do it? She laughed shrilly, like a madwoman. You Lincolns owe me. After shouting, she seemed to have exhausted all her strength, slumped in the chair, covering the face, burst into sobs, just this once. The crying held no pretense anymore, only despair and resentment remained. Sam Lincoln stood in place, as if all his strength had been drained. He looked at me, his eyes were filled with the most complex emotions. There was guilt, there was pain, there was an indescribable weight. I stood up, the chair legs scraped against the floor, making a screeching sound, breaking the suffocating silence. Bro, I said, my voice calm and steady. I'm going out first. He didn't speak, just waved my hand listlessly. I walked out of the meeting room, closed the door. The cries and heavy breathing inside were cut off. In the hallway, sunlight streamed in through the floor-to-ceiling windows. It's a bit dazzling. I squinted my eyes, heading toward the elevator. Go downstairs, step out of the impressive Lincoln family building. Sunlight falls on me, warm and cozy. I took a deep breath. The air outside is still better. I took out my phone, sent a message to Linda. Florence Lincoln, hot pot tonight. My treat, Linda. Has the sun risen from the west? The stingy one is splurging. Florence Lincoln. Celebrating. Linda. Celebrating what? Did you win the lottery? Florence Lincoln. Celebrating that I can finally go back to sticking receipts. Linda. I put away my phone, walked to the roadside, unlocked my second-hand electric scooter, got on it, turned the key. The electric scooter emits a cheerful hum, merge into the traffic. The Lincoln family. It's been completely quiet for a few days. Winnie Lincoln was sent away. David Lincoln and Susan used some connections to send her to a strictly managed boarding school abroad. They said it was to let her cool off. Secretary Kevin was fired. Before leaving, she came to pack her things. She paused for a moment in front of my workstation. Florence Lincoln. She looked at me with a complicated expression. You knew all along. I was organizing the documents on the desk. What do you know about Winnie Lincoln? I don't know. I interrupted her. I just believe that back-end logs don't lie. Secretary Kevin fell silent. In the end, she sighed. You are very different. I didn't speak. She walked away carrying the box. Sam Lincoln became taciturn. At the company, he remains the decisive Mr. Sam, yet, there's always an unshakable gloom lingering between his brows. At home, he grows even more silent. Susan fell seriously ill. She lost a noticeable amount of weight. Her spirits seemed thoroughly drained. David Lincoln also appeared to have aged several years. The atmosphere at home, stifling, oppressive, like the calm before the storm. Only my little room, still my sanctuary, work, off work, reading novels, playing video games, lying flat like a salted fish. It was the weekend. I rarely got to sleep in, hugging my carrot-shaped pillow, awakened by a cautious knock at the door. Florence, are you awake? It was Susan's voice, laced with a hint of weariness. I got up, opened the door. Susan stood outside the door. Wearing a casual cashmere sweater, barefaced, the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes were clearly visible, holding a tray in hand. On it sat a bowl of steaming, wonton soup. Mom, Florence, she smiled nervously, extending the tray forward. Monica said you love this. I tried making some. Would you like to try? I looked at her. There was a cautious expectation in her eyes, and a hint of, barely noticeable nervousness. I turned sideways. Come in. She seemed to have received a special pardon. Hurry in with the tray. The tiny servant's room. She stood there, a bit at a loss. I set the carrot-shaped pillow aside, took the bowl, clear broth, with seaweed and dried shrimp floating in it. Small dumplings floated in the broth. I picked up a spoon, scooped one up, gave it a little blow, put it in my mouth. The skin is thin, the filling is pure pork, very fresh, delicious, I said. Susan's eyes lit up instantly, as if stars had fallen into them. Really, how's the saltiness? Is the filling too lean? Just right. I scooped another one. She watched me eat. A long-lost, genuine smile appeared on her face. Eat more if it's good. There's still more in the pot. I ate quietly. She watched quietly. In the small room, only the faint sound of a spoon touching the edge of a bowl, and the misty steam. Florence, she suddenly spoke, her voice soft, with a hint of choking. I'm sorry. I froze. I looked up at her. Her eyes were red. Mom, I'm sorry. About Winnie, Mom was wrong, terribly wrong. Mom was overwhelmed by her tears, blinded by her words. Mom forgot, these 20 years, it was you by Mom's side, calling me Mom. The one who broke Mom's heart yet brought so much joy, was you. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Mom isn't a good mother. Mom is too foolish. She covered her face. Her shoulders trembled, crying like a child. I put down the bowl. I pulled out a tissue and handed it to her. She took it, wiped it haphazardly. Mom, I said, the wontons are getting cold. She froze for a moment, then she immediately stopped crying and smiled. Yes, yes, eat quickly. It won't taste good if it gets cold. I continued eating. She sat on the small stool by the bed, looking at me. His gaze was gentle, with the tenderness of something lost and found again. Your dad, he's also hurting inside, she said softly. He just has a sharp tongue, can't bring himself to admit it. Sam too, those things in the drawer. Mom, I interrupted her, it's all in the past. She looked at my calm face, in the end, nodded. Okay, it's over, it's all over. Wait until I finish eating. She carried the empty bowl and left contentedly. Her steps even became lighter. Evening, David Lincoln is back. He didn't go to the main house. He came straight to the backyard, standing at the door of my small room, with his hands behind his back, looking stern, as if here to inspect work. Dad, he responded, his gaze sweeping across my modest little room. His brows habitually furrowing. This room is too damp. Pack up and move back to your old room. The tone is commanding, leaving no room for doubt. No need, Dad, I said, I'm used to it now. What kind of habit is that? He raised his voice, the eldest daughter of the Lincoln family living in the servants' quarters. How would that sound if word got out? I think it's fine. Florence Lincoln, he was about to lose his temper again. I looked at him. Dad, I sleep soundly here. David Lincoln glared at me, his chest heaved, as if about to scold. In the end, the breath escaped again. He waved his hand impatiently. Whatever, turned to leave, then stopped. With his back to me, his voice sounded a bit muffled. That piece of land in the east of the city, we rebid and won it. Oh, congratulations, Dad. He remained silent for a few seconds. The James family, that kid John was sent abroad by his family. Silence again. He seemed to want to say something. In the end, only leaving behind a single sentence. Tell Monica, whatever you need, and then, strode away. The retreating figure seemed stiff. 2 more days passed. Nighttime, I was playing games on my tablet. Someone was knocking at the door, very restrained. Come in. The door opened. It's Sam Lincoln. He's wearing loungewear. The usual sternness is gone, holding in his hand a very small, somewhat aged-looking wooden box. Brother, he walked in, placed that small wooden box on my old desk. His movements seemed slightly unnatural. Here you go. What? Open it and see. I put down the tablet, walked over, opened that small wooden box without a lock. Inside lies a bracelet, very simple, even a bit rough, strung together with small shells of various colors. Some shells have edges worn white. It was the year I turned 18. Sam Lincoln mysteriously said he was going to give me a handmade, one-of-a-kind gift. The result, it turned out to be this ugly string of shell bracelets. I was utterly disgusted at the time. Bro, what is this? It's so ugly. I refused to wear it. Later, I just don't know where I threw it. I didn't expect that. He kept it all along, still hidden in that locked drawer in his study. I picked up that string of shell bracelets, chilly, bearing the marks of time. Didn't you throw it away? I asked, Sam Lincoln leaned against the doorframe, didn't see me, his gaze fell on the half-dead pothose plant on my windowsill, picked it back up, he said in a low voice. Oh, the room fell silent again, only the background music from the game in my tablet was still cheerfully playing. Florence Lincoln, he suddenly called me. I'm sorry, I didn't speak, brother, I was wrong. His voice was hoarse, wrong, terribly wrong. I shouldn't have doubted you, I shouldn't have ignored you, and most of all, I shouldn't have wronged you. Just to make it up to Winnie, he spoke very slowly, every single word seems forced out from the throat. This bracelet, his gaze finally lands on the shells in my hand. If you still think it's ugly, just throw it away. I caressed those polished little shells. Not bad, I said. Vintage is in style now. Sam Lincoln froze for a moment. She looked at me. I casually slipped the string of shell bracelets onto my wrist, gave it a little shake. The shells clink against each other, making a faint, rustling sound, quite loud. I remark. Sam Lincoln looks at the childish string of shells on my wrist, look at my expressionless face again. The corner of his mouth, extremely slowly, twitched upward slightly, a smile uglier than crying, but deep in the eyes, that thick layer of ice, seems to have cracked a fissure. A faint glimmer of light seeped through. He nodded. It is quite loud. He straightened up. Get some rest early. He turned and walked away, gently closed the door. I lower my head, staring at the ugly shell bracelet on his wrist. Under the light, those little seashells, reflecting a faint, yet warm glow. Life seemed to return to calm again, but something felt different. Susan started visiting my little room frequently, sometimes bringing a bowl of soup. Sometimes with clothes she saw while shopping that she thought would suit me, although the style usually isn't my cup of tea, but she never tires of it. David Lincoln still kept a straight face, but when passing by the backyard, footsteps will slow down, occasionally shouting out, Florence Lincoln, the grass in the yard needs mowing, or, that potted plant is almost dead under your care. After shouting, hands behind back, stomped away angrily, and then, the gardener Bob would quietly come over. Revive my pothose plant, trim the weeds in the backyard neatly. Sam Lincoln is at the company. Stop treating me like I'm invisible. Sometimes they'd throw me some non-core tasks that still required a bit of brainpower. Have this market research report ready for me in 3 days. Oh, I got it done. Send it to his email. He wouldn't praise either, only responds with something cold. Got it, and then, next time's task. The difficulty will be slightly increased. Feels like testing, it felt like. Getting to know each other all over again. Dinner that evening, at the dining table, the atmosphere was uncharacteristically peaceful. Susan placed a spare rib on my plate. Florence, eat more, look how thin you are. David Lincoln snorted, thin, she barely moves all day. Sam Lincoln quietly ate his meal. The phone vibrated once. He glanced at it, his brow furrowed slightly. Dad, Mom, about Winnie. Susan paused while picking up food with her chopsticks. The smile on her face faded. David Lincoln also put down his chopsticks. The atmosphere grew somewhat tense again. Winnie Lincoln is abroad. Occasionally, she sends emails back, just to let us know she's safe. It's very brief, quite formal, with a sense of detachment. Susan and David Lincoln will read it, but rarely replies. That crack, too deep, needs time. What's wrong? Susan asked softly. Nothing. Sam Lincoln put away his phone. The school teacher said she's adapting quite well. Oh, that's good then. Susan sighed in relief and added another serving of greens to my plate. Florence, these vegetables are fresh. The topic was abruptly changed. David Lincoln cleared his throat. His gaze swept over us. Next month, he began, his tone carrying a hint of solemnity. I'll be turning 60. We'll have a simple family gathering at home. Just a meal together as a family. Susan immediately nodded. Yes. It'll be wonderful for the whole family to get together properly. Sam Lincoln also nodded. Their gazes all fell upon me, with a hint of expectation. I'm still a bit nervous. I swallowed the food in my mouth. Oh, okay. A smile blossomed on Susan's face. David Lincoln snorted and picked up his chopsticks again. Eat up, but the corner of the mouth, it seems to be curved upward just a little bit. David Lincoln's birthday. The weather is nice. The sun was shining brightly. No grand ceremonies were held. In the garden at home, Monica had the servants set up a long table, covered with a pristine white tablecloth. set with exquisite tableware and fresh flowers. The dishes were prepared by a chef invited to the house, a fusion of Chinese and Western styles. The aroma filled the air. Susan was wearing a beautiful cheongsam. David Lincoln also rarely wore a festive tang suit. Sam Lincoln was dressed in a well-tailored suit, me, still in a t-shirt and jeans, but just changed into a clean one. Susan's eyes lit up when she saw me. Florence is here, come sit. She pulled me along, let me sit beside her. The position belonging to the eldest daughter of the Lincoln family. Sam Lincoln sat across from me, raised a glass toward me. I picked up my juice, returned the gesture. David Lincoln sat at the head of the table. Look at us, no expression on the face, but the eyes are gentle. Let's eat, he said. No lengthy birthday speeches, no insincere pleasantries, just family, eating quietly in peace. Sunlight filters through the gaps in the grapevine trellis, dappled light and shadow. The wind blew past, carrying the scent of flowers, and the aroma of food, very comfortable. Halfway through eating, David Lincoln put down his chopsticks. She looked at me. Florence, come back to live here, not a command. It was said in a tone of discussion, with a hint of barely detectable earnestness. Susan also looked at me expectantly. Sam Lincoln remained silent, but his gaze also rested upon me. I put down my chopsticks. Dad, I'm fine living in the back. David Lincoln instinctively furrowed his brows. It's quiet, I added, and close to the kitchen, so it's easy to sneak snacks. Susan burst out laughing. The corner of Sam Lincoln's mouth twitched. David Lincoln glared at me. In the end, that bit of anger melted into helplessness. Whatever. He picked up the wine glass, took a big sip. Dad, Sam Lincoln suddenly spoke up, looking at me. The company's admin department needs a supervisor. Interested? Susan's eyes lit up. Florence, your brother means, not interested, I said bluntly. Sam Lincoln, my current job is just fine. I took a sip of juice. 9 to 6. No overtime. Simple colleague relationships. What kind of job is that? David Lincoln couldn't help but blurt out again. Dad, I looked at him. Different strokes for different folks. I just want to be a couch potato. David Lincoln was left speechless by my response. Susan quickly stepped in to mediate. All right, it's Dad's birthday today. Let's not talk about this. As long as Florence is happy. Sam Lincoln looked at me, eyes deep and profound. In the end, he nodded. Fine. He picked up the wine glass. Dad, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, Dad. We raised our glasses. Glasses clinked together. A crisp sound rang out. The sunlight is just right. In the garden, time stood still. After eating the cake, David Lincoln was called to the study by a phone call. Susan and Monica were packing up their things. Sam Lincoln took a work call. I strolled to the backyard, sat down on my little swing, swaying leisurely. The afternoon sun made everyone feel lazy. Footsteps approached. Sam Lincoln walked over. He took off his suit jacket, only wearing a shirt, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, less stern. A bit more lively, he leaned against the grapevine trellis post, watching me sway back and forth, really not moving back. He asked, don't really want to go back to the company, Then, he paused. What are your plans for the future? Work, and then, off work. He remained silent for a while. Florence Lincoln, thank you. My swinging motion paused for a moment. For what? Thank you. His gaze drifted into the distance, voice low. For still being willing to stay in this family. I didn't speak, keep swinging my swing. Creak, creak, bro, shell bracelet. I shook my wrist, pretty noisy. Sam Lincoln froze for a moment. At once, he chuckled softly. The laughter rumbled from his chest, with a long-lost sense of ease. If it's too noisy, just take them off. I won't. I closed my eyes, feeling the warmth of sunlight on my eyelids. I'm used to it. The wind blew past. The grape leaves rustle softly. The seashell on the wrist also emits faint, rustling sounds, as if in response. In the sunroom, I'm curled up in a giant beanbag chair, hugging my carrot-shaped pillow, holding a tablet in my hand, fingers swiping across the screen. The cheerful background music of Happy Match plays merrily. On the small coffee table in front, piled high with potato chips, cola, and spicy strips, and a plate of grapes Monica just washed. Sunlight poured down through the glass ceiling, warm and cozy. So comfortable it makes you want to doze off. Florence Lincoln. Susan's voice grew closer, with a hint of playful reproach. here you are hiding again. Isn't the living room big enough for you to lounge in? She walked in, holding a bowl of freshly cut fruit in my hand. Seeing the pile of junk food in front of me, my brows immediately furrowed. Eating this again, no nutrition at all. She put down the fruit bowl, without another word. She confiscated my just-opened bag of chips. Mom. Calling me Mom won't help. She shoved the chips to Monica, who had followed behind. Take them away. Take them away. Monica suppressed a laugh. She walked away with the potato chips. Susan pushed that bowl of colorful fruits in front of me. Eat this, I sighed, stabbing a piece of mango, popped it into my mouth. Sweet, but it's not as tasty as potato chips. Winnie is coming back next month, Susan said cautiously as she sat down beside me. Oh, this time, she's coming back for summer vacation. Susan observed my expression carefully. The school hopes she can integrate more with the family. Florence. She hesitated, leaving the words unspoken. Mom, I swallowed the mango. That's my sister's home. She can come back anytime. Susan's eyes lit up, then they clouded with worry again. Mom is afraid that you too, afraid we'll fight. I speared a piece of watermelon. Susan, don't worry. I took a bite of the watermelon. It's juice sweet and refreshing. I'm busy. Busy playing Candy Crush. Susan looked at my indifferent expression. In the end, she smiled helplessly. She reached out, wanting to pat my head, but I nimbly dodged. Mom, my hair, you don't have any hair to style. She teased with a laugh. In the sunroom, laughter filled the air. Sam Lincoln's voice sounded at the door, carrying a hint of weariness after a work call. Mom, Florence, you're hiding here. He didn't finish his sentence. Her gaze fell upon my wrist, that ugly string of shell bracelets. Under the sunlight, reflecting a gentle glow, he paused for a moment, the corners of her lips lifted imperceptibly. Sam, you're back. Susan greeted him. Come have some fruit. Sam Lincoln walked over, didn't sit by Susan's side, went straight to the carpet beside my beanbag chair, crossed his legs and sat down. The movements were casual, not like that meticulous Mr. Sam. He picked up the half-finished Coke I left on the low table, and took a sip quite naturally. Tisk, trash, disdainfully. Took another sip. Susan glared at him. You should drink less too. Sam Lincoln put down the soda can, picked up a grape, tossed it into his mouth. Where's Dad? He's on the phone in the study, Susan said. Seems like it's about the West City project again. Sam Lincoln nodded. No further questions. He turned his head to look at me. What level are you on? 387. I didn't even look up, my fingers swiping across the screen. Noob. I paused my fingers. 3 consecutive matches. Special effects exploded. Level cleared. Tisk. Sam Lincoln raised an eyebrow. The warm sunlight bathed the 3 of us. The air carries the sweet fragrance of fruit. There's the lingering greasy scent of potato chips, the faint fizz of cola bubbles. There was also the cheerful game music playing on the tablet. The day Winnie Lincoln returned, I didn't go to pick them up at the airport, sleeping in at home. When I woke up, there were already voices talking downstairs. I slowly washed up, changed into a clean t-shirt, went downstairs. In the living room, Winnie Lincoln was sitting on the sofa, wearing a simple white dress. Her hair was cut a bit shorter, she had grown thinner and quieter. She seemed less timid and sharp than before. There was more of the serenity that a girl her age should have. Susan took her hand, speaking softly and gently. David Lincoln sat aside reading the newspaper. Sam Lincoln stood by the window making a phone call. Seeing me come downstairs, Winnie Lincoln looked up. Our gazes met. Her eyes flickered slightly, somewhat complicated. There was nervousness. There was guilt. There's a faint trace of anticipation. I walk over. Back already. Emicham, she responds softly. Is it hot outside? Not bad. Oh. The conversation felt dry. Susan quickly smoothed things over. Winnie must be tired from the flight. Why don't you go rest in your room? Mom has kept it ready for you all this time. Winnie Lincoln's room. It is the second best suite in the house, after the master bedroom. It has excellent natural lighting. The view is expansive. Winnie Lincoln, however, shook her head. She looked at me, then quickly lowered her head. Her fingers twisted the hem of her clothes. I can stay in the back room. That one will do. The living room fell silent instantly. Susan froze in place. David Lincoln looked up from his newspaper. Sam Lincoln also hung up the phone. Look over here, Winnie. Susan wanted to say something. Mom. Winnie Lincoln raised her head, mustering courage. The backyard is quiet. Her gaze turned to me, with a hint of pleading. Sister, is it okay? I looked at her. As you wish. Winnie Lincoln seemed to let out a sigh of relief. A faint, relieved smile appeared on her face. Thank you, sister. Monica helped Winnie Lincoln move the luggage to the backyard, right next to my room, the one that used to store miscellaneous items, cleaned it up. Not bad at all. Nighttime, the whole family eating together. The position is a bit delicate. David is at the head of the table. Susan is to his left. Winnie Lincoln is sitting next to Susan. Sam Lincoln is on the right. I sat down next to Sam Lincoln. Winnie Lincoln seemed a bit reserved, only picking at the dishes in front of her. Susan instinctively wanted to serve her some food. The chopsticks reached halfway, then stopped. She glanced at Winnie Lincoln, then looked at me. In the end, that chopstick of food landed in David Lincoln's bowl. David, the fish you love to eat. Sam Lincoln's mouth twitched. I lower my head, devouring the rice. Winnie Lincoln looked at her empty bowl. Look at Susan again. Her eyes look a little disappointed, but soon, she picks up the serving chopsticks, placed a piece of spare rib into Susan's bowl. Mom, you should eat too. Susan froze. At once, eyes are slightly red. Ah, good, good. Winnie, you eat too. Winnie Lincoln picked up another piece of stir-fried bamboo shoots and placed it in David Lincoln's bowl. Dad, David Lincoln gave a non-committal, His face remained expressionless, but the hand holding the chopsticks seemed to pause for a moment. Winnie Lincoln's gaze turned towards Sam Lincoln. Sam Lincoln was staring at the chicken wings in my bowl. Winnie Lincoln paused her chopsticks. In the end, picked up a shrimp, put it into Sam Lincoln's bowl. Bro, Sam Lincoln snapped back to reality, looking at the shrimp in the bowl. Take another look at Winnie Lincoln, nodded. Winnie Lincoln's gaze finally landed on me. She seemed to hesitate for a moment, picked up the serving chopsticks, picking up a piece of braised pork, with trembling hands, across half the table, and placed it into my bowl. Sister, I was munching on chicken wings, noticing the suddenly appearing glistening braised pork in my bowl. He raised his head. Winnie Lincoln was staring at me. Her gaze seemed a bit nervous, as if afraid I'd refuse. I picked up my chopsticks, and lifted that piece of braised pork, put it in my mouth. Tender but not greasy, melts in your mouth. Delicious, I said. Winnie Lincoln's eyes lit up instantly, as if stars had fallen into them. She lowered her head, took small bites from the rice in her bowl. The corners of her mouth, quietly, curved upward, a meal, eaten in silence. Yet with a strange sense of peace. After the meal, I strolled to the backyard, sat down on my little swing, swayed back and forth. The evening breeze is gentle, carrying the scent of fresh grass. The light in the next room is on, the window is open. Winnie Lincoln sat at the desk by the window, looking down at something. It was very quiet. After a while, she seemed to sense my gaze. He raised his head, seeing me, paused for a moment. At once, gave me a faint, somewhat shy smile. I nodded as well. Keep swinging on my swing. Creak, creak, the shell on the wrist makes faint, delicate sounds, like whispers on a summer night. Sunroom, still my territory. The oversized beanbag chair sinks deeply. I sprawl like a boneless octopus, lying limp inside, the tablet propped on the stomach, fingers idly swiping now and then. The cheerful sound effects of Happy Match play on the low table, piled with potato chips, cola, and spicy strips, and half a pack of unfinished sunflower seeds. Sunlight filters through the glass canopy, basking in the warm sunshine on my back. Comfortable. Footsteps sounded. More than one person. I knew you'd be hiding here again. Susan's voice, with a helpless smile. She walked in. Behind her followed Winnie Lincoln. Winnie Lincoln held a fruit platter in her hands. Sliced fruits, colorful. Mom, little sister. I lazily greeted them. My eyes never left the screen. Susan confiscated my opened bag of chips. How many times have I told you, eat less of these? Winnie Lincoln placed the fruit platter on the coffee table, right next to that pile of junk food. She glanced at my beanbag chair, then looked at the small stool beside it, hesitated for a moment, in the end, followed my example. On the thick carpet, sat down cross-legged. The sitting posture was somewhat unskilled, a bit stiff. Susan froze for a moment, then she smiled. She also walked over, didn't sit on the small stool. Sat next to Winnie Lincoln, also settled down on the carpet. Mom. Winnie Lincoln felt a bit embarrassed. It's fine, the carpet is soft. Susan waved her hand. In the sunroom, I'm sprawled on a beanbag chair playing games. Susan and Winnie Lincoln are sitting cross-legged on the carpet. One is peeling an apple, quietly watching. Sunlight spills over them, serene, warm. Sam Lincoln's voice sounded at the door. I was wondering where everyone was. He walked in, his suit jacket draped over his arm. The tie was loosened, with a hint of post-work languor. His gaze swept over the three of us, lingering on the seashell bracelet around my wrist. A slight smile curled at the corners of her lips. He walked over, quite naturally, also on the carpet, and sat down, right by the foot of my lazy sofa. Leaning back against the base of the sofa, long legs stretched out casually. What level are you on now? He asked. 502. I counted with my fingers, so slow, my fingers paused. For consecutive eliminations, the special effects exploded, level cleared. Tisk. Sam Lincoln raised an eyebrow. He picked up the half-finished Coke I left on the low table, gave it a shake. Got any more? Fridge. I didn't even look up. He stood up, went to the built-in fridge nearby and took out a new can. Opening it, PSSHT, the sound of bubbles fizzing, he took a big gulp, sighed contentedly. Trash. Disdainfully, took another sip. Susan cut the peeled apple into small pieces, inserted toothpicks, and handed it to me. Florence, have some fruit. Handed another piece to Winnie Lincoln. Winnie should have some too. Sam Lincoln instinctively reached out his hand. What about mine? Susan rolled her eyes at him. Peel it yourself. Sam Lincoln, he resignedly picked up an apple, and a fruit knife. Clumsily began to peel it. The apple's skin broke several times. Susan frowned as she watched. Clumsy, let me do it. No need. Sam Lincoln dodged away, continuing to struggle with the apple peel. Winnie Lincoln watched his clumsy movements. Pursing her lips, she secretly smiled. The warm sunlight fills the entire sunroom. In the air, there's the fresh scent of fruit, and the slight sweetness of cola, the savory aroma of potato chips. Also, the taste of home. I put down the tablet, stretched with a big yawn. The bones creaked. I'm hungry, Susan immediately said. What would you like to eat? I'll have the kitchen prepare it. Winnie Lincoln whispered a suggestion. How about ordering takeout? Fried chicken. Sam Lincoln finally finished peeling that bumpy apple, took a bite. Add a pizza too. Susan glared. Junk food again. No one paid attention to her. I picked up my phone, opened the food delivery app. Original fried chicken with sweet and spicy sauce, double fries, 4 pizza. I want durian and barbecue combo. Winnie Lincoln leaned over to look at the screen. Sis, how about adding some chicken wings? Sure. Sam Lincoln, and an order of onion rings. Susan stared at the three of us. In the end, with a helpless sigh, add a vegetable salad too. My fingers swiftly placed the order. Done. Put down the phone. Slumped back into the beanbag chair. Hugged my carrot-shaped pillow. Snuggled into it comfortably. The sunlight is just right. The breeze is gentle. The shell bracelet on the wrist, with my movement, a faint rustling sound. The rustling sound, as if humming a tune, out of tune, yet a warm song. Good. Lying flat like a salted fish, basking in the sun, occasionally roll over. Not bad either. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.